The Tower of London is a historic castle on the north bank of the River Thames. It was founded towards the end of 1066 as part of the Norman Conquest of England. The White Tower, which gives the entire castle its name, was built by William the Conqueror in 1078 and was a resented symbol of oppression inflicted upon London by the new ruling elite. The castle was used as a prison since at least 1100 AD, although that was not its primary purpose. A grand palace, early in its history, it served as a royal residence. As a whole, the tower is a complex of several buildings, set within two concentric rings of defensive walls and a moat. The Tower of London has played a prominent role in English history. The tower has served variously as an armoury, a treasury, a menagerie, the home of the Royal Mint, a public records office, and the home of the crown jewels of the United Kingdom. Under the Tudors, the tower became used less as a royal residence. The peak period of the castle's use as a prison was in the 16th and 17th centuries, when many figures fallen into disgrace, such as Elizabeth I before she became queen, were held within its walls. The Yeoman Warders, or Beefeaters as they are nicknamed, have long been symbols of London and Britain. The title Yeoman Warders gives a clue to their historic job. As warders, they and their families would live with the prisoners within the towers on a different floor, their wives cooking and washing for the prisoners, for a price of course. Today they act as tour guides and are a tourist attraction in their own right. All possess a wicked sense of humour.
Come on! You might be on holiday, but I'm not. Let's go. I don't care if you're limping, catch up. It's an amazing fact that the elderly just don't realise how little time they may have left. So, come on, this could be your last holiday. Make the most of it. You're now standing in a killing ground. It's no longer operational, sadly. The defenders will now be hurling vicious verbal abuse at you. Not to mention stones, arrows, buckets of boiling tar, cows, sheep, salad, unwanted children. Everything would have been thrown at you.
Entrance today is via the Lion Tower and Middle Tower, across what would have been a drawbridge. Once inside, your eyes are drawn upwards to the massive curtain walls that form what is known as the inner and outer wards. As you walk up the slight hill, we see what was once the main entrance to the castle. King Edward I extended the south side of the Tower of London. In this wall, he built St. Thomas Gate, later known as Traitor's Gate. Many an unfortunate aristocrat began their sentence after entering through this gate by barge, never to emerge again. Above the gate is the St. Thomas Tower. It was used primarily as royal apartments. This was originally the King's Chamber and has been reconstructed using the evidence of medieval documents, pictures and surveying 13th century objects and interiors. King Edward I stayed at the tower in 1294 and is likely to have slept in this room. The king would have prayed in the small oratory or chapel in the adjoining turret overlooking the river. Henry VI was imprisoned in the St. Thomas Tower, where he was murdered on May the 21st, 1471. Each year on the anniversary of Henry VI's death, the provosts of Eton and King's College, Cambridge, lay roses and lilies on this altar in St. Thomas's Tower where he died. Next door sits the Wakefield Tower. The lower chambers of the Wakefield Tower contained a guard room where the soldiers who guarded the old Henry III Watergate were stationed. Today, the lower chamber contains replicas of 3 torture instruments known to have been used in the Tower of London in the past: the manacles, the rack, and the scavenger's daughter. The Bloody Tower was built in the early 1220s. The vaulted gate passage beneath the tower was originally defended by 2 gates and 2 portcullises. Only the portcullises and gate at the south end survive today, complete with the windlass that operates the portcullis from the first floor. Eventually, this tower was to accommodate such eminent prisoners as 2 Archbishops of Canterbury and a Lord Chancellor. Accommodation for important or high-ranking prisoners such as these, which reflected their status and enabled them to live with their families, was not uncommon. The lower chamber is now furnished as it might have been during the 13-year imprisonment of Elizabeth I's favourite sailor, Sir Walter Raleigh, who was charged with plotting against her successor, King James I. During his imprisonment, Raleigh wrote the history of the world and conducted many scientific experiments. He grew tobacco and other exotic plants and produced medicinal cordials. Just through the gateway of the Bloody Tower is Tower Green. It was here that the executions of such notables like Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's second wife, Catherine Howard, Henry VIII's fifth wife, and Lady Jane Grey were beheaded. Today, a modern memorial remembers those who met their end here on this spot. The large Tudor building in the corner is known as the Queen's House. It was built about 1530, probably for Queen Anne Boleyn, but she lived there only as a prisoner for 18 days awaiting her execution. In an upper room, Guy Fawkes was interrogated, and after torture on the rack in the White Tower, signed a confession incriminating his fellow conspirators in their attempt to blow up Parliament. In modern times, the notorious Rudolf Hess, Nazi leader and German deserter during World War II, was imprisoned here. To the right of the Tudor buildings lies the Beauchamp Tower. It was built in 1280 and was one of the main prison towers of the castle. Many were imprisoned here, as attested by the walls covered in ancient graffiti, carved into the stone by men and women with too much time on their hands while they await their fate. It shows coats of arms, names, and even love messages. Legend says that the kingdom and the tower will fall if the 6 resident ravens ever leave the fortress. To this end, the birds have had their wings clipped and have a yeoman warder assigned to them as keeper. Some have escaped. A seventh bird is always kept as a spare. The White Tower is the castle keep, also known as a donjon, which was often the strongest structure in a medieval castle, and contained lodgings suitable for the lord, in this case the king or his representative. The White Tower, not including its projecting corner towers, measures 118 by 105 feet at the base, and rises to a height of 90 feet at the southern battlements. The structure was originally 3 stories high. At the western corners of the building are square towers, while to the northeast a round tower houses a spiral staircase. Due to changes in function and design since the tower's construction, only St. John's Chapel is left of the original interior. The chapel's current bare and unadorned appearance is reminiscent of how it would have been in the Norman period. In the 13th century, during Henry III's reign, the chapel was decorated with such ornamentation as a gold-painted cross and stained glass windows that depicted the Virgin Mary and Holy Trinity. Much of the White Tower today is taken up by the Royal Armouries. The Royal Armouries collection consists of some 70,000 examples of arms, armour and artillery dating from antiquity to the present day. It includes royal armours of the Tudor and Stuart kings, arms and armour of the English civil wars, British and foreign military weapons from the Board of Ordnance and Ministry of Defence pattern room collections. It also displays hunting and sporting weapons presented to the royal family as gifts. There are a few surprises as you walk around. Wireframe animals dotted around the castle represent the animals once kept in the castle's menagerie. Founded during the reign of King John in the early 1200s, animals lived at the tower for over 600 years. The Waterloo Barracks is not only an active military headquarters, but also houses the Jewel House, holding the British Crown jewels. The last 2 prisoners to be held at the tower were the Cray twins, Ronnie and Reggie. While on national service with the regiment based here, they went absent without leave and were locked in cells either side of the clock. The jewels on display in the Jewel House, unfortunately no pictures are allowed, are largely those items used at the coronation of a sovereign. In addition to their enormous historic value, the crown jewels incorporate some spectacular and priceless stones. The largest top-quality diamond in the world, the first star of Africa, which weighs just over 530 carats, is set in the head of the sovereign scepter with cross. Numerous legends surround the Koh-i-Noor diamond, which is set in the crown of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother.